project, we're going to be combining faces, similar to the look of what you see here as I click on these images, where a number of faces, 8 to 10 faces, have been cut up, layered on top of each other, I should say, and then cut up, so that they create one human face out of all of the different faces. So, in order to achieve this look, what we're going to do is we're going to go into Photoshop, we're going to go to File and New in Photoshop, and select the tabloid size file, which is 11 by 17 and 300 resolution. We're going to hit create. We're going to make sure that it's vertical as you see here, and we're going to get this page that looks just like either of these pages. Then what we're going to do is I'm going to actually set you up with this image that I found online, and I'm going to bring that in here as well. And so I will give you the file as you start this project, and what's going to happen is I'm just going to resize this for you. So what it will look like is something like this. Okay, and this bottom layer now, I'm just going to kind of lock it up. And so this is what you're going to see when you first open up. What we have to do is we need those 6 to 8, 8 to 10, somewhere in that range, faces. So I have a bunch of images of different staff members. And so we're going to use student and staff member pics for this. So what you're going to do is you're going to go through and you're going to find a few. Once you find them, you're going to click and drag them. I'm going to put them in your folders, and you're going to click and drag them and drop them while holding shift onto your page. Now once you do that, it's going to come up looking like this in the center of your page. Then what we have to do is we have to resize this. So the best way to do that, I think, is to go over to your layers panel, go to opacity, bring down your opacity, let's say to about a 60 or so. And with this box still here, or if the box disappeared like this, just make sure you do edit and free transform, Command T, right, or Windows key T on the black keyboard, on that top layer. And then you get those bounding boxes again. And then what you want to do is you want to resize it. But we must make sure we do it proportionally. So at the top of your screen here, just be sure that the width and height are linked by clicking this button. By doing that, things will expand proportionally. And then also on your keyboard, you can hold Option. And if you hold Option on your keyboard, as you pull, you'll notice it gets bigger from the center. So you're going to resize it. Sometimes it's easier because you start running out of room to do Command minus a few times to sort of zoom out. And then again, hold Option, click and drag. You can also click and move. So what you're trying to do is sort of line this up with what you see here, and then continue to enlarge it until it kind of fits as close as you can get it to the face that's underneath, the drawing that I put underneath. So right about there or so, where the kind of the eyes line up with the eyes, that's where we're trying to get. So try to get your, I'm going to zoom in a little bit so you can see better. I'm going to try to get the eyeballs here to match up with the size of the eyeball that's underneath. Sometimes you have to mess with the opacity just to kind of increase it a little bit so you can see the difference in size. Okay, so continue to zoom in, you zoom out until you get the proportions almost perfect. I might have to go a little bit larger than this, so I'm just going to go hold Option and go a little bit larger. Like that. And just try to kind of line it up, like I said, as best you can. And then hit the checkbox up top, and then bring the opacity back to 100. Just like that. Now once you have one face, the next step, as you might guess, is to find another face that you can drag and bring in. So I would drag this, hold Shift, and bring it in. Now I can line it up to the original, or I can line it up to the new face that I have here, right? So it's the same steps though. Bring down the opacity to about a 60 or so. Hold Option and drag. Move the image, hold Option, drag. Until the eyes, that's going to be the key for us, is lining up those eyes. Usually the spacing of the eyes a bit and the size of the eyes. You could also minus away, right? You can rotate a little bit if you need to. Try to kind of line them up as best you can. So getting the sizes correct is the most difficult part, really, of this project. And you kind of line them up, you hit OK, and then you bring that back up to 100. So it's 1, 2, right? Try to kind of line up so you can go by a few things. You can go by sort of like the middle of the nose or the bottom edge of the nose or the eyes, and you can see I pretty well lined up the nose here. There's a couple of spots like the eyes are obviously a little bit more closed here, but you're going to continue those same steps over and over. So I'm going to do it again over here. Click, drag, drop, hold shift. Okay, bring down the opacity to about a 60. Hold option on your keyboard. Resize until the eyes kind of match up. Command minus a little bit to get away from it so you can see things better. And you know, everybody's face is a little different, so they're not going to match up perfectly. So do not drive yourself crazy. You just have to try to get close. And we can always move things around a little bit later, but you want to sort of get it in range of size where it looks like it's pretty close. Okay. Okay, so once you've lined up all of your faces, so far I only have 3. I'm going to hide the original one down here, the one with the drawing. But then what you're going to do is on each of these layers, just be sure that you do right click and rasterize those layers so that you don't get those smart objects anymore. And what we want to do is start to cut this up, similar to what I showed you from here. So this one has these vertical lines. These ones have basically horizontal boxes or rectangles, and the same thing here is sort of a combination of them all. So when you go back here, in order to achieve that, what you're going to do in Photoshop is you're going to use your selection tools here, these selection tools. Now you have a bunch of options I'm going to give you for this. You can use your rectangular marquee tool, you can use your lasso tool or your polygonal lasso tool. Any of those are fine. In fact, just to make things a little bit make more sense for you here, this is the way it starts, okay? But I did do one that's a little bit further along, so I'm just going to open up that one just to kind of show you what it looks like. All right, and I'm going to just get rid of a few things here quickly, just so you can see what I'm talking about. Okay, so here are a few more faces, same sort of thing. They're all, you know, resized to about the correct size or so. Some of the faces that you find are going to be this 3/4 view, and I can kind of help you with those. It's the same basic idea, but because the head's turned, things look a little bit different. Okay, so I'm just going to leave it like this for a moment, and now show you the next step of the project. So here's what it starts to look like in order to kind of break it down into those boxes. You're going to go to either, like I said, the rectangle tool, the lasso tool, or the polygonal tool. So I'm going to start with this one, rectangular tool. And you can begin to draw out a box around the part you want to keep. So if I want to keep the mouth here, I would drag like this. And then all I have to do on that layer with that selection is to go down to the bottom of my layers panel here, and at the very bottom of my layers panel, you're going to see a little box. This box is the layer mask box. You can see here, layer mask. All you got to do is hit it. And what happens when you hit it is to the layer itself, it's added a link with this big black box. Everything that's black in this box has been hidden, and everything that's white is still showing. So if I look back at my screen, you'll see that her mouth is still showing here, but the rest has been blacked out or hidden from us. It's not actually deleted, it's just hidden. Then when I go to the next layer, this layer, I could draw another box, right? Same tool, just draw another box. So maybe from him, you know, I want to keep like his hair. So I'll draw a box like this. And then from there, I'm just going to zoom out a little bit, I hit that button again. And so on and so on. Now, if the sizes don't match up perfectly, do not worry. We can fix it at the end, and I'm going to show you how. But I'm going to continue like this. Okay, and the face starts to look like this. Now, yes, I agree, starts to look really wacky, but that's okay. We can resize things, and so here's how you resize it. If you notice, Then if you want this hair to be larger, let's just say, what you do is you go to the layer that he's on, you unlink the two pieces, the original picture and the mask. You just unlink them. And then this piece, in order to make this piece bigger, not the mask bigger, but just this piece, you do your Command T on your keyboard. And when you do Command T, you'll see the box. You can hold Option again, and you can resize. You can also click and move. So if you wanted this to be a little bit larger, you can position it, you know, like that, or however you like. And then continue from there. So obviously the more faces you get, the better for this. And again, all of these different pieces, you just unlink them, you take the move tool, you can move them, and again, Command T, and you can resize them. So I could resize this whole thing and then, you know, use those in some way. So you can resize any piece that you want, even after the fact, after you've cut them out. Now I'm going to show you one other option here before the masks are up, okay? So if I want to use one of these other tools, like lasso tool, I can click and draw any shape that I want, and then do that same thing, right? And then maybe I go to my next one and see what's starting to happen here. Like, you can make it a more interesting sort of cutout than just a straight up, you know, box. And you start to get this really, really wacky looking thing, okay? But and we can crop things out later if they look too crazy or whatever, but you see what starts to happen? You get this totally different look based on what kind of tool you're using. You want to do more of a straight edge look, just go to the layer that you want, use the polygonal lasso tool, and create, you know, maybe like a pizza pie kind of shape. You could do like to the tip of the nose. Right? And then do the next one from and then we'll crop out, like I said again, the edges. Just bring it to me at the end and we'll crop them out. I can show you how to do that. So it's like this kind of thing, to make like a straight edge look of the same sort of thing. And again, if the face isn't right, go to the face, unlink it, click on the box, Command T, resize it so that the face matches up with what you're trying to do, you know, something like that. And none of them are going to line up perfectly. These are all different people with different shaped faces and stuff, right? But that's basically the idea. And then at the end, you can take the crop tool and you can crop exactly where you want it to go, so there's no extra stuff hanging out on the outside. And that's where we're going to go with the project. We could take it one step further at the end, and on each image, we can do some more cutting out of the face. We'll see each one's a little different, but we could, like, for example, we could do this. And we make a selection, let's say, of the top of this one, and go back to the mask. On the mask, you can just add more black, and so it looks like this. You know, like I can get rid of the rest of any image. So we'll work on that together. Like I said, 6 to 8, 8 to 10 images are going to be best for this. Like, you could probably get away with what I have here, 6. Yeah, so 6 to 8 is where you want to be. Maybe a couple of students thrown in there so we can really kind of mix it up. And we're going to see how they come out.